Bitcoin is trading around $92,000 today. I just kind of want to give you a time-sensitive update with kind of the news that's going on in the market and just a little touch on a topic about the profit-taking strategy, because I see that that was one of my most frequently common comments. Now, side note, some of you guys are commenting hey bro, why do you post shirtless content sometimes, or whatever. I'm around my place, right? And a lot of you guys don't know this, but I've been in fitness for 20 years. I do a lot more than just cryptocurrency investing, stocks, real estate, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we do it all over here. And if you guys are commenting in my comment section about my body or hey bro, it's kind of weird, dude, we got bigger problems to worry about. So basically, the price of Bitcoin has been kind of going sideways. Altcoins have been catching a bid. There's some of them that are up double digits. Obviously, we had a pretty bad jobless claims report this morning. And like I said yesterday, we have, officially speaking, we have Charles Schwab that wants to enter the cryptocurrency market. They manage, I think, $12 trillion of assets. We have obviously the BlackRock iBIT ETF that's going to be used by JPMorgan of Chase, who conveniently put out some sort of MicroStrategy stretch competitor where they're offering, I think, 16% yield plus maximum upside. And then we had Vanguard that officially launched their Bitcoin spot ETF through iBIT as well, if I'm not mistaken. That also happened 2 days ago. We have a Fed FOMC meeting next week, which is pretty much a lock that we're going to get that interest rate cut. And then obviously we have the end of quantitative tightening. So things are shaping up to be kind of bullish, I think, at least leading into the end of this year. Now, there's a lot of speculation whether we're going to go into ultimately a lower high or a whatever the case may be with Bitcoin, right? Because we have a lot of work to do to kind of reclaim key levels, which is about, $98,000 to about $100,000 for Bitcoin. Somehow, if we can crack that soon, then we can probably go up to about 106. And then that would be probably the biggest area, in my opinion, to flip. And I think if we can do that, that's where we would open up the possibility to go into all-time highs. A little too early to call that, in my opinion. But I do think in that kind of meanwhile, I think that altcoins are going to start catching a bid. And so if you're somebody that hasn't made any money in crypto, maybe you're late to the cycle, maybe you just haven't taken any profits, in my personal opinion, without giving financial advice, nothing I ever say is financial advice, you all know this. You want to think about, at least if you're in altcoins, you want to, at the minimum, think about taking some of those chips off the table, maybe your initial investments, whatever the case may be, because I think even if Bitcoin ultimately goes to a lower high, I still think that the altcoins are going to, outperform Bitcoin on that move. And I think that they can even go up almost double, select altcoins, not the bigger ones, obviously, but those will outperform Bitcoin. And so at that point, you at least want to take something off the table so that you can mitigate some kind of downside, because I do think that we're going to have a pretty good bullish period coming into 2026. I just think things are going to be very rocky getting to that state. Patience is key here, right? And I think that you should always stick to your investing strategy. There's a lot of people what do you think about taking profits, off of Bitcoin or whatever the case may be? My strategy has always been Bitcoin accumulation. I always want to hold, a Bitcoin heavy portfolio, whether we're in a bull or bear market. My typical strategy whenever it comes to bull markets, right, is I always trade my altcoins basically, and I convert those back into Bitcoin, because obviously I'm comfortable seeing my Bitcoin go down, 40, 50, 60%. And then rotating those back into altcoins whenever we're pretty much nearing the end of the bearish trend. However, I don't like holding altcoins unless it's very, Solana or BNB or things of that nature that I know are going to at least be around next time. So it just depends for everybody, right? Everybody has different goals. Everybody needs money at different times, all that kind of stuff. And so I think at the very minimum, you should always, if you want some sort of exposure, Bitcoin's always going to do well. It's going to, I guess, underperform when it comes to the downside. It's not going to go down as much. And then typically what happens whenever we get this bullish trend out of any kind of bearish trend or market, Bitcoin tends to lead the way, at least for the first week or so. It usually puts in the first big move, and then altcoins kind of catch a bid. And so my stance has always been, if you're nervous, scared, whatever, then maybe think about just keeping a Bitcoin heavy portfolio and then doing something with your altcoins, right? Because the altcoins, in my opinion, are always just a means to the end to make, money faster, to accumulate more of your, surefire assets like Bitcoin or whatever the case may be. Even stocks, right? You can use these altcoins to short-term trade to make faster money and then, change your life for the better, right? That's the overall goal. So hope that makes sense. If there's any kind of questions you have in specific, feel free to drop them in the comment section, and I'm going to be updating you guys. I'm going to drop a video, I think, a little bit later on, maybe some sort of investing mindset or something like that, because Like I said, I've been in crypto and investing since about 2016. I've been in stocks a little bit longer than that. And I've just, made a lot of mistakes that I want to help you guys not make. So yeah. Anyway, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Everything I say here is very time sensitive. I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.